The night air, thick with rain, suddenly fractured, a horrifying screech of tires, the sickening thud of metal against a movable oak, and then an instantaneous, violent bloom of orange and black that devoured the darkness. For Liam, a struggling single dad whose every waking moment was dedicated to his little girl, Lily, this was no distant tragedy glimpsed on a news feed. This was unfolding just ahead, a raging inferno on the desolate highway. He didn't know then, couldn't possibly comprehend, that his next few minutes of impossible courage, risking everything for a stranger in those flames, would lead him to the daughter of a billionaire and a future beyond his wildest dreams. His heart hammered. Someone was in there. He had to try. Liam was a man shaped by quiet resilience and the unwavering love for his 7-year-old daughter. Their small apartment, tucked away in a noisy city block, was modest, its furnishings worn, but it radiated a warmth that money couldn't replicate. Lily's vibrant drawings, suns with beaming faces, fantastical creatures, and lopsided portraits of him, were proudly displayed on the refrigerator, each a colorful testament to her boundless imagination. During the day, Liam's hands, perpetually stained with engine grease, worked skillfully beneath cars at a local auto shop. His evenings and late nights were a blur of food deliveries in his aging sedan, each trip a small step towards keeping the encroaching tide of bills at bay. Life hadn't been easy. Lily's mother had walked out when she was just an infant, leaving a void Liam had tirelessly worked to fill. He'd mastered the art of braiding hair, his large, calloused hands surprisingly gentle. He read bedtime stories in a low, comforting rumble, and listened with genuine interest to Lily's daily school adventures, his own fatigue momentarily forgotten in the glow of her enthusiasm. Just that morning, Lily had been chattering about her school project. "My hero." She looked up at him, her eyes shining. "Daddy, can heroes be tired sometimes?" He'd smiled, ruffling her hair. "Even heroes need their sleep, sweet pea." The memory pricked him now. His own desires were always an afterthought. His boots were scuffed, the soles paper-thin. His favorite jacket, a gift from years ago, bore a carefully stitched patch on the elbow. The art set Lily dreamed of, the one with a dazzling array of 72 colors and an entire spectrum of glitter pens she'd pointed out with breathless excitement in a shop window, remained an unattainable wish. "Maybe for your birthday, sweet pea," he'd said gently, the familiar ache of inadequacy twisting in his chest when he saw the fleeting shadow of disappointment in her eyes. Her birthday felt a lifetime away. That look, more than his own aching muscles or the gnawing anxiety about the overdue rent, was the heaviest weight he carried. Yet his capacity for kindness remained undiminished. He was a neighbor who'd unfailingly helped old Mrs. Peterson with her overflowing grocery bags, even after a grueling shift. He was the one who'd share his meager sandwich with a timid stray dog that often lingered by the garage. These were simple, unheralded acts, offered without a thought of recompense. They were the threads of his character, woven into the very fabric of his being. Tonight, that inherent goodness was about to be tested in a way he could never have foreseen. The rain lashed against Liam's windshield, the wipers struggling to keep pace, making the unlit stretch of highway perilously slick. He was miles from the city's comforting glow, the road flanked by dense, shadowy woods. His fuel gauge hovered near empty, another worry added to the pile. He'd just been thinking of Lily's sweet, sleepy voice on the phone earlier. "Night, Daddy. Love you more than all the stars." That love was his anchor. Then the unthinkable. The sleek, expensive-looking sedan ahead, moving far too fast for the treacherous conditions, suddenly swerved. Liam watched, frozen for a microsecond, as it fishtailed wildly, the driver clearly fighting for control. But the wet asphalt offered no purchase. The car shot off the road, colliding head-on with a massive, gnarled oak. The impact was a brutal, metallic shriek, followed by an almost instantaneous eruption as the front of the car burst into a raging inferno. Liam's foot slammed the brake. Adrenaline, cold and sharp, surged through him, obliterating his weariness. The image of the crash, the uncontrolled skid, the violent impact, the hungry flames. It was all happening too fast. Lily's face flashed in his mind. What if he didn't make it back? The thought was a stab of ice, but the sight of the fire, consuming, relentless, overrode everything. There was no conscious decision, only a primal, undeniable imperative. He had to help. His old car skidded to a halt on the muddy shoulder, hazard lights pulsing erratically. He didn't spare a thought for turning off the engine. He simply threw open his door and plunged into the storm, his worn sneakers splashing through unseen puddles as he sprinted towards the burning wreckage. The heat hit him like a physical force, pushing him back, stinging his eyes. It was intense, ferocious, carrying the acrid stench of burning fuel, molten plastic, and something else, something terrifyingly human. Flames fanned by the wind and rain leaped and clawed at the night sky, casting wild, demonic shadows. The car was a mangled disaster, its front end grotesquely crumpled against the unyielding tree. The fire, originating in the engine, was spreading with horrifying rapidity towards the passenger cabin. "Hello, can anyone hear me?" Liam yelled, his voice strained, swallowed by the roar of the blaze and the deluge. Silence, save for the fire's hungry crackle. Fear, sharp and insistent, clawed at his throat, but he forced it down. He had to get closer. Shielding his face with his forearm, he circled to the driver's side. The door was buckled, twisted, immovable. He yanked, his muscles screaming, the metal hot even through his damp jacket. It wouldn't give. Panic tightened its grip. He could hear the fire's relentless advance, feel its searing breath on his exposed skin. He scrambled to the passenger side. This door, too, was jammed, the windows shattered. Through the swirling smoke and the flickering hellish light, he glimpsed it, a pale hand, unmoving, a cascade of dark hair. Someone was alive. "Hang on. I'm coming. I'll get you out," he screamed, his voice hoarse. He needed something, anything for leverage. His smoke-filled eyes darted around, landing on a thick tree limb, snapped off by the car's impact. It was heavy, awkward, but it was his only chance. He seized it, the rough bark tearing at his palms, and jammed one end into the slight gap at the top of the passenger door. With a desperate grunt, he threw his entire weight against it. The metal shrieked in protest, resisted, then, with a tortured groan, bent outwards just enough. He dropped the limb and tore the opening, ignoring the searing pain as his knuckles raked against razor-sharp, heated metal. He reached into the choking smoke, his hand brushing against fabric. Then an arm. "I've got you." He pulled, but she was caught. The seatbelt. The seatbelt! I have to cut it. He fumbled for the small multi-tool he always carried, his fingers slippery with rain and sweat, clumsy with the overwhelming urgency. The little blade seemed pitifully inadequate against the thick, synthetic webbing, but he sawed at it again and again, the smell of burning upholstery acrid in his nostrils. Sparks from the engine danced dangerously close. Time was a luxury he didn't have. The heat was becoming unbearable. He could feel his hair singeing, his skin blistering. Just as he thought he'd have to pull back, the belt gave way. With a final, desperate surge of adrenaline-fueled strength, he pulled. A young woman, a teenager by her looks, slumped towards him. Her eyes were closed, her face pale beneath smudges of soot, a trickle of blood matting her dark hair from a gash on her forehead. He gathered her into his arms, maneuvering her slight frame through the mangled opening, his body instinctively shielding hers as much as possible. He stumbled backwards, away from the raging inferno, his lungs aching, his heart threatening to burst from his chest. He'd taken perhaps a dozen steps when a deafening whoosh erupted behind them. A wave of superheated air blasted his back, pushing him forward. Liam staggered but kept his footing, turning more fully to absorb the blast, protecting the girl. The fuel tank, he realized with a sickening lurch, had ignited. The car was now a solid pillar of fire, a monstrous torch against the stormy sky. Seconds. They had been seconds from an unspeakable end. He carried her further still, until the inferno was a malevolent glow in the distance, and gently laid her on the wet, cold grass, well away from the roadside. His lungs burned with every ragged breath. His hands were on fire, raw and blistered. His jacket was smoking in places. But his gaze was fixed on the girl's still, pale face. "Hey! Hey, can you hear me?" he rasped, gently brushing a soot-matted strand of hair from her forehead. Her eyelids fluttered. "You're safe now. You're going to be okay." He pressed his trembling fingers to her neck. Her pulse was there, rapid but blessedly present. She was breathing. Relief, so potent it nearly brought him to his knees, washed over him. The girl moaned, her eyes struggling to focus. They were wide, dark pools of terror and disorientation. "Whoa, what?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "You were in an accident," Liam said, trying to keep his voice calm, reassuring. "The car caught fire, but you're out. You're safe." He knew shock was a dangerous enemy. Even in the dim light, he noticed the fine quality of her torn clothing, a delicate gold necklace half hidden by her collar. Details that spoke of a life very different from his own, though they barely registered in the urgency of the moment. He quickly retrieved his phone, his singed fingers clumsy on the screen. He dialed emergency services, his voice surprisingly steady as he relayed the accident, their location, the girl's condition. "Yes. Single occupant female. Looks like a teenager. She's conscious, but very disoriented, definite head injury." As they waited, the burning car casting an eerie, flickering light on the scene, Liam stayed by her side. The rain had softened to a persistent drizzle, but a deep chill was setting in. He carefully removed his ruined jacket, ignoring the protests of his burned skin, and draped it over her. "Here, this isn't much, but it might help." She shivered, clutching the jacket. My head, it hurts so much." "I know. Help is on its way. Just try to stay still." "What's your name?" he asked gently, trying to keep her anchored to present. Serena," she managed, her teeth chattering. "Okay, Serena. I'm Liam. We're going to get you taken care of, all right?" She nodded, her gaze flickering between the blazing car and his soot-covered face, as if he were the only stable point in a violently tilting world. He offered her the half-empty water bottle from his car, which he'd somehow managed to grab. She took a few shaky sips. He spoke to her softly about trivial things, the sound of the rain, the distant hope of sirens, anything to distract her from a horror. He told her she was incredibly brave. He didn't speak of his own throbbing hands, the sharp pain in his shoulder from wrenching the car door, or the growing fear for his own daughter now that the immediate danger had passed. His entire being was focused on this frightened young woman. Slowly, some of the raw terror in her eyes began to subside, replaced by a dawning awareness and a fragile, hesitant trust. The wail of sirens grew steadily louder, a symphony of rescue cutting through the night. Soon, the pulsing blue and red lights of an ambulance and a police cruiser sliced through the darkness, bathing the scene in a stark, official glow. Paramedics were at Serena's side in an instant, their movements swift and professional. Liam stepped back, a wave of profound exhaustion washing over him as he allowed them to take over. He watched as they assessed Serena, fitting a neck brace, checking her vitals, their voices a low murmur of calm efficiency. Serena's eyes found his over a paramedic's shoulder. Fear was still there, but mingled with it was a dawning understanding, a silent acknowledgement. He offered a small, weary nod of reassurance. Just as the paramedics were carefully lifting Serena onto a stretcher, a new sound intruded, the throaty rumble of powerful engines. Two imposing black SUVs and a gleaming luxury sedan with heavily tinted windows swept onto the scene, parking with an air of urgent authority. Several stern-faced men in dark, tailored suits emerged, their eyes methodically scanning the surroundings. From the sedan, a man erupted, his expensive suit immaculate despite the chaos, his face a mask of raw, unadulterated panic. He was older, distinguished, with an undeniable aura of command that even his visible distress couldn't fully conceal. "Serena, my daughter." "Oh, God, Serena!" he cried, his voice choked with emotion as he rushed toward the ambulance. A paramedic gently intercepted him. "Sir, she's stable. We're taking her to City General. She has a significant laceration to her head, likely a concussion, but she was conscious when we arrived." The man's shoulders visibly slumped with relief. "Thank God. Thank you." He looked at his daughter, his expression a maelstrom of anguish and overwhelming relief. One of his security men, speaking urgently into a lapel mic, was overheard by Liam. "Inform the tower Mr. Sterling's G650 will be delayed. He's proceeding to City General." The words G650, Mr. Sterling, barely registered, yet planted a tiny seed of something extraordinary. A police officer, who had been quietly taking Liam's preliminary statement, gestured towards him. "Sir, this is a gentleman who pulled your daughter from the vehicle. He got her out just moments before the whole thing went up." The distinguished man, Mr. Sterling, turned his full attention to Liam. His eyes, sharp and assessing, swept over Liam's singed clothes, his blistered and now crudely bandaged hands, the genuine concern etched on his soot-stained face. The frantic energy in Mr. Sterling's demeanor softened, replaced by a profound, dawning gratitude. He strode towards Liam, his hand outstretched. I don't have the words to thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You saved my Serena, my precious girl." He reached into his jacket, pulling out a very thick roll of cash, pressing it towards Liam. "Please, you must take this. It's nothing compared to what you've done, but please." Liam, startled, instinctively recoiled, holding up his smarting hands. "Oh, no, sir. I can't. Really. I did what I hope anyone would. I'm just so glad she's going to be okay." The money, an amount that could solve so many of his problems, felt fundamentally wrong to accept for an act of basic humanity. Mr. Sterling paused, truly seeing Liam then, not just a rescuer, but a man of deep, unshakable integrity. He slowly withdrew the money, a thoughtful, almost awed expression replacing his earlier agitation. "My name is Jonathan Sterling," he said, his voice regaining some of its inherent authority, now deeply laced with respect. "And I am in your eternal debt. We will speak again, Mr. Carter." "Liam Carter, sir." "Liam Carter," Mr. Sterling repeated, as if committing it to memory. His security detail was already gently guiding him towards one of the SUVs to follow the ambulance. Before disappearing inside, his eyes met Liam's one last time, a silent promise of immense gratitude passing between them. Liam watched the convoy speed away, their flashing lights swallowed by the receding storm. Only then did the full weight of the night crash down on him. A paramedic insisted on properly treating his burns, hissing sympathetically at the angry red welt. He gave his full statement to the police, who commended his bravery. Finally, hours after his shift should have ended, smelling of smoke and exhaustion, he was allowed to drive his battered car home. Lily. He needed to hold his Lily. The following afternoon, as Liam was awkwardly trying to explain to a wide-eyed Lily why his hands were swathed in bandages and his best worst jacket was gone forever, a polite knock sounded at their apartment door. Liam opened it to find an impeccably dressed woman with a kind smile and a sleek leather briefcase. "Mr. Liam Carter?" she inquired, her voice calm and professional. "Yes. My name is Eleanor Vance. I'm an associate of Mr. Jonathan Sterling. May I come in for a moment?" Liam, still feeling the surreal remnants of the previous night, ushered her into their small, tidy living room. Lily peeked shyly from behind his legs. Ms. Vance was direct but warm. She explained that Mr. Jonathan Sterling was a founder and CEO of Sterling Innovations, a multinational technology corporation. Serena was his only child. The G650 Liam had overheard mention was indeed Mr. Sterling's private jet. He had diverted it from an international business trip the moment he'd received news of Serena's accident. The sheer magnitude of the Sterling family's wealth and influence began to settle upon Liam, making his small apartment feel even smaller. Ms. Vance conveyed Mr. Sterling's profound and unending gratitude, assuring Liam that Serena was recovering well, largely due to his swift and courageous actions. Mr. Sterling and his daughter, Serena, would be deeply honored if they could thank you in person, Mr. Carter, Ms. Vance concluded. They were hoping to visit you here tomorrow, if that would be at all convenient. Liam, his mind reeling, could only nod. A billionaire. He had saved a billionaire's daughter. The world had tilted on its axis. The next day, their humble apartment, though scrubbed and tidied to the best of Liam's ability, felt particularly modest as he awaited his extraordinary visitors. Lily, sensing the gravity of the occasion, wore her Sunday best, a dress that was a little faded but immaculately clean. When the knock finally came, Liam's heart did a nervous flip. Jonathan Sterling stood in the doorway, not as a formidable tycoon, but simply as a profoundly grateful father. Beside him, Serena looked significantly better. The gash on her temple was neatly stitched and covered, and though a touch of pallor remained, her eyes were clear and held a soft light. She clutched a large, beautifully wrapped gift. "Mr. Carter?" "Liam," Mr. Sterling began, his voice imbued with genuine warmth. "Thank you for allowing us into your home." "Please come in," Liam managed, stepping aside, acutely aware of the worn patch on the sofa. The stark contrast between the Sterling's understated elegance and the simplicity of Liam's surroundings was undeniable, yet any potential awkwardness was instantly dispelled by the genuine humility and warmth radiating from father and daughter. Serena stepped forward, a shy but sincere smile gracing her lips. "Mr. Carter," she said, her voice soft yet steady, I'll never truly be able to say what's in my heart. You didn't just pull me from a car. You gave me back my life. Thank you feels so small, but thank you." She then turned her gaze to Lily, who was watching with wide, curious eyes. "And you must be Lily. My dad told me you're a wonderful artist." She offered Lily the large gift. "This is for you." Lily's eyes grew as round as saucers. She carefully tore at the wrapping paper. A gasp of pure, unadulterated joy escaped her lips. Inside was the most magnificent, glorious art set she had ever laid eyes on, far grander and more elaborate than the one she'd only dared to dream about. It contained every conceivable shade of pencil, crayon, pastel, and watercolor, and her personal nirvana, an entire tray gleaming with dozens of glitter pens in every imaginable hue. "Daddy, oh, Daddy, look." She hugged the enormous box to her chest as if it were a precious treasure, then, with a sudden burst of shy courage, looked directly at Serena and whispered, "It's the bestest present in the whole wide world." "Thank you." Serena's smile widened, her eyes shining. "You are so very welcome, Lily. I hope you create beautiful things." Mr. Sterling watched this exchange, his own eyes glistening with unshed tears. He cleared his throat, turning to Liam. "Liam," he said, his voice resonating with deep sincerity, "what you did that night, It was an act of profound courage and selflessness. There is no currency, no material object that could ever adequately repay you. Your refusal of any monetary reward at the scene that spoke volumes about your character, about the man you are. Liam felt a warmth spread through him, a flush creeping up his neck. I only did what I hope anyone would do for my Lily, if she were ever in such terrible trouble. Perhaps, Mr. Sterling conceded, his gaze unwavering. But not everyone would possess your courage, Liam. Not everyone would act with such immediate disregard for their own safety. And certainly, not everyone possesses your quiet integrity. He paused, his expression thoughtful. I understand you work as a mechanic, and you drive deliveries late into the night. Long, hard hours, I imagine, to provide for this wonderful little girl. Liam nodded, his hand instinctively resting on Lily's shoulder. She's my world. It's what a father does. Indeed, Mr. Sterling affirmed. Liam, my company, Sterling Innovations, is in the process of launching a new philanthropic arm, the Sterling Community Foundation. Its mission will be to identify and support individuals and grassroots initiatives that make a tangible, positive difference in their communities. We need someone to spearhead our local outreach, someone with unimpeachable integrity, profound empathy, and a first-hand understanding of the challenges ordinary people face, someone who can see the good and help us nurture it. He leaned forward slightly, his eyes holding Liam's. I'm not offering you a handout, Liam. I'm offering you a vital position. Director of Community Outreach for the Sterling Foundation. It would come with a substantial salary, comprehensive benefits, and a company car. But more importantly, Liam, it would offer you predictable daytime hours. Time to spend with Lily, to watch her grow, to be the father you so clearly strive to be. We would also, of course, be honored to assist you in finding a new home, somewhere with a little more space, a safe yard for Lily to play and let her imagination soar. Liam was utterly speechless. He stared at Mr. Sterling, then at Serena's encouraging smile, then at Lily, whose face was already buried in her new art supplies, humming a happy little tune. Director? A new home? Regular hours? It was a dream he'd never even dared to form. Tears, hot and unexpected, welled in his eyes, blurring the image of his daughter's joyful absorption. These weren't the familiar tears of weariness or worry, but tears of overwhelming, heart-stopping gratitude and disbelief. Sir, Mr. Sterling, he stammered, his voice thick with unshed emotion. I don't know what to say. Say you'll consider it, Liam, Mr. Sterling said gently, his own eyes suspiciously bright. The world needs more men like you, Liam Carter, in positions where your inherent goodness can ripple outwards. Liam looked at Lily, her bright, innocent face radiating pure happiness. This wasn't just about him. This was about her future, her security, her chance to flourish. He took a deep, steadying breath. Yes, he said, his voice surprisingly clear and firm despite the tears tracing paths down his cheeks. Yes, Mr. Sterling, I accept. And thank you. Thank you both more than I can ever say. A broad, relieved smile illuminated Mr. Sterling's face. Serena beamed, tears of her own now sparkling in her eyes. In that small, humble apartment, an extraordinary, life-altering bond had been forged. A bond built on courage, cemented by kindness, and shining with the brilliant, unexpected light of profound gratitude. Liam's world and Lily's bloomed in ways that had once seemed confined to the pages of storybooks. The new role of the Sterling Foundation was not just a job. It was a calling. Liam discovered an innate ability to connect with people from all walks of life, to truly hear their stories, to understand their needs, and to skillfully channel the Foundation's resources where they could cultivate the most significant good. He no longer returned home bone-weary and smelling of oil and exhaust fumes, but invigorated, his spirit nourished by the tangible difference he was making. They moved into a charming little house with a sun-drenched kitchen and a small, fenced yard where Lily could play safely for hours, her laughter echoing through the rooms, her bedroom walls quickly becoming a gallery for her ever-expanding artistic creations, all brought to life with her treasured art set. Liam finally had the precious gift of time to help Lily with her homework, to attend her school plays, to simply be present. Serena, profoundly impacted by Liam's selfless heroism as quiet, unwavering decency, found a new compass for her own life. The terrifying brush with mortality had been a stark awakening, but Liam's example had illuminated a path forward. She became passionately involved with the Sterling Foundation, working alongside Liam on numerous community projects. Her initial shyness gradually gave way to a confident grace and a genuine zeal for service, as she discovered a profound sense of purpose far removed from the gilded confines of her previous life. The Sterlings and the Carters, an unlikely pairing, forged a friendship that transcended social strata and circumstance. There were impromptu Sunday barbecues in Liam's new backyard, where Mr. Sterling, the formidable billionaire, could sometimes be cajoled by Lily into attempting a lopsided chalk drawing on the patio. Much to Serena's delighted amusement, the glitter pens, naturally, remained a firm favorite for collaborative masterpieces. Liam often found his thoughts drifting back to that stormy, terrifying night on the highway. He had risked everything for a stranger, driven by nothing more than the fundamental human instinct to reach out, to save, to help. He had expected nothing in return, sought no reward. Yet that single act of unhesitating courage had sent ripples of positive change through his life, through Lily's and through the lives of Sterling's, extending even further to the growing impact of the foundation. It served as a constant, powerful reminder that kindness, in its most unadorned form, possesses an almost magical ability to bridge divides, to heal, and to ignite hope in the most shadowed corners. And sometimes the universe, in its own mysterious way, conspires to honor that quiet heroism, not with fleeting material rewards, but with the enduring, immeasurable wealth of security, purpose, and the profoundly beautiful, heartwarming radiance of human connection. His life, once a daily struggle, was now a living testament to the extraordinary truth that the greatest heroes are often ordinary people who, when confronted by the crucible of crisis, choose courage over fear and compassion over indifference. And in doing so, they don't just save a life, they illuminate the very best of what it means to be human.